welcome to Pro Trader Strategies market commentary for Monday, January the 4th, 2021. Let's get it on. Everybody's P&Ls are marked back to zero from today, and it's probably not looking so great, especially if you are mostly delta long in your portfolio, because it seems like what's going on right now is a bit of profit taking. Well, we had 2020, nice rally into the end of the year, really supported. Well, today it seems like there's quite a bit of not even sector rotation, just profit taking as the overall markets are really starting to come off. So let's get on with the economic data across the pond. We got the final PMI numbers across the pond, Purchasing Managers Index. Anything above 50 is expansion. Well, anything on that line for the manufacturing PMI, whether it's Spanish, Italian, German, French, all pretty much came in line with what the original number was, and those were all above 50, showing expansion. Now moving over here to the United States, we got our own economic data point. Oh, one other thing is there is OPEC meetings going on today, but then here in the United States, we've got the final manufacturing for our PMI on the flash estimates. This isn't the ISM. Came in slightly above on a revision at 57.1, expected to be 56.3. Construction spending slightly lower than expected, coming in at 0.9%, expected to be 1.1. They did revise last month's number up a little bit there to 1.6, so that kind of trying to erase some of that downside in the headline number for construction spending. And then we have Bostic and Evans, who are FOMC members, speaking a little bit later on, actually right around now. All right, so let's move on to the overall markets and see how they're reacting today to this overall moves in the markets. We've got crude oil coming off just slightly. Now, I've talked about this. We're seeing record cases of COVID here in Arizona and across the United States. And that is going to cause people to maybe shut down for a little bit further. I know schools are not going back in session here and probably not going to be for the remainder of the year for most people in the United States. That means a lot of people are not going to be traveling. The stay-at-home thing is going to probably last a little bit longer, or work from home, and that means people are not going to be traveling as much. So crude oil finally starting to show some kinks in the armor, getting below the 9-day simple moving average, which shows short-term weakness if we get below and settle below there, which I'm kind of expecting that this market is going to now start roll over and test that 40 handle in the coming weeks here. Here we have gold blasting off to the upside. Friday, we got Thursday, we got the topping pattern there. It looked like we might come back down into the triangle here, although breaking out above that signals a little bit of upside momentum here. And that's exactly what we got. We can sit here and break this down, and we'll see the massive rally overnight, gapping higher, and then just pretty much unabated strength into today. Maybe showing a little bit of profit taking going on right now, and that's why you're seeing that red candle at the end there. Bonds coming off a little bit today, continuing on trying to get that charge of higher interest rates. I don't see that happening, people. I think that it's going to see low interest rates for a very long time. They're even talking about the vaccinations. They're only vaccinating people during open office hours or maybe even bank hours. And so people aren't getting vaccinated on the weekend or after 5 o'clock. Well, how, if you're working, do you get vaccinated then? And a lot of this distribution channel is showing some weakness, really, for lack of a better phrase. VIX moving higher, and why? Because we talked about this. Equities are falling out of bed here, as you can see with the Dow Jones Industrial Average down over 1.5%, down almost 500 points. And we can see overnight we did get that high. That was an overnight high, people, and we are seeing a lot of weakness since that overnight high. A rally overnight, but today coming into it really showing weakness. And I think it's more in line with just taking profits, trying to make those books, put some money in cash and wait for some opportunities here, as a lot of these valuation of these stocks are pretty much through the roof at this point. We've got the NASDAQ down 150 points on the day as well. Again, overnight high printed, but then into the day session, just a lot of weakness here across the board. 51 points down on the day in the E-mini S&Ps. You know, E-mini S&Ps are probably being held up by Tesla. If you guys remember, Tesla has been added to the S&P and has really made some major moves to the upside, and that is probably holding off some of this downside in the E-mini S&Ps, I would have to imagine. And you can see again overnight high in the E-mini S&Ps, but coming into the United States opening, we have unabated to the downside. The only thing I really want to talk about is Tesla, and why, because there's not a whole lot else to talk about, to be honest with you. Tesla came out and announced that they missed their goal of 500,000 units being built in 2020. They just missed it by just ever so slightly, but they came in at 499,550 units built in 2020. Now, keep in mind, we've talked about the valuation here on Tesla, and Tesla's valuation is basically as big as all of the other automobile makers combined. Now, how much did all of those other automakers make in 2020? 80 million, all right, versus 500,000, okay? So that is just absolutely astronomical valuation for Tesla in my eyes, unless they are going to provide every single automaker with the battery or something like that. Somehow they can create a working relationship with every single automaker and have their fingers on every single automobile that's been produced or that will be produced, is really where we're talking about with this. Now, you guys know I've faded Tesla. They're blasting off to the upside because they missed on that. But it just seems a little bit ridiculous to me. Now, I know that there's people that just love Tesla, and I know that there's a lot of Teslas out there, but you have to put this into perspective in my eyes. And 500,000 units in a full calendar year, and their valuation is worth more than basically all of the other automakers combined, and they're producing 80 million automobiles combined. That just, there's a disconnect in my eyes, all right? So one thing to note, though, NIO, which is the other one, that's the Chinese automaker that's a competitor of Tesla, they came out and produced 43,000 units. So two times more than they produced in 2019. So 2020, they produced twice as many cars as they did in the previous year. So, you know, that's a good sign for NIO if you are wanting to get involved in the EV space, which is electric vehicle space. That this would be something that would be like the poor man's Tesla, if you will. But at the end of the day, I wanted to talk about those two because those two are some of the few that are in positive territory today. As a matter of fact, the S&P, all sectors are in negative last I checked, and I wouldn't expect that to have changed if you saw the charts. There's nobody making any moves to the upside. But the EV space, these couple of names are ones making moves to the upside. And, you know, and the only reason why I mentioned NIO is because if you want to get involved and you don't want to pay $800 a share for a stock, or don't have the money to buy, you know, 100 shares worth of a stock, or 100 shares of a stock that's worth 800,000 or $800, then that would be a nice way to avoid something like that. And you can, you know, do 100 shares of NIO a little bit easier, and then you can start trading options around something like that, which is what I would encourage. All right, so that's about it. I haven't added anything to my portfolio. I'm just keeping an eye on it. And at this point, with the market sell-off, I'm going to be looking for maybe opportunities to add some positive deltas in my portfolio, because I don't think this is going to necessarily be a long-term trend at this point. But I am going to sit on my hands today and see how this all kind of works out. All right. If I do anything, then please check me out on Twitter, because I'll throw that stuff out there as well if I add or subtract anything from my portfolio after I do these daily market commentaries. And that's about it. Tell you what, give me a thumbs up, like, comment, whatever. I'd love to have the back and forth. What do you guys think is going to be the best stock of 2020? Are you looking at any IPOs or just any stocks that you think that are going to make some big moves in the upcoming year? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you, and I respond to everybody's comments. So reach out to me. And if you can't take that, take it easy.